All right, so we have a tweet here from Richard Medhurst says, this is huge. Over a dozen countries have now applied to join BRICS, including Algeria, Iran, and Argentina. The multipolar order is taking shape before us. If expanded, BRICS would compromise over half the global population, 60% of global gas, and 45% of global oil reserves. To me, it doesn't sound like multipolar. It just sounds like the end of the American
Sounds like bipolar.
Empire.
Is what it sounds like.
No, it's the end of the United States.
It is.
The petrodollar. Yeah. It'll be the death of the petrodollar, no doubt.
I mean, I hate to say this, but this is what I was talking about on the last show. Like
about BRICS?
That the end of America being a superpower. Like, people aren't really ready for that. Like, they don't know what it's like to not be in a country that can just flip a switch and say, I want things to go like this.
Tim, do you know if are they doing an actual currency with this, or is it just? I mean, are they going to launch a currency that's going to back this up?
I bet it'll be a crypto. I bet it'll be a crypto of some sort.
Because I remember when they were
Bitcoin itself.
Darren Beatty celebrates
when they were doing when the EU was first launching. They were selling. I think it was 5 cents on the dollar you could buy the euros before they fully launched. If they're going to make a currency out of this, I want in.
October 7th. Yeah, there's a news article from October 7th, 2022. Putin said he plans on creating a quote new global reserve currency.
Yeah, it's going to be a central bank digital currency.
And I would be willing to bet. I'm not saying it's true. I'm saying it's hyper speculative, highly speculative. But I would not be surprised if American elites are purposefully tanking the U.S. While sending their assets over through maybe like Panama, where a lot of money was stored, or Switzerland. And we know Joe Biden flew on Air Force Two with his son Hunter for a private equity deal in China. I think the elites, they are stealing the silverware from the Titanic after the iceberg was hit, 2008. They're jumping on the life rafts, telling everybody everything's fine, don't worry about it. Taking those lifeboats off to another big ship, loading up all the silver, coming back and saying, everything's okay, people, don't worry about it. They're getting ready to jump ship.
I would buy that for $1.
I think that explains a lot of the Ukraine business, and I think that explains a lot.
A lot.
So it's just that economics doesn't care about American republicanism.
No way, it never has. Economics has never cared.
Avoid saying the thing we're not supposed to say, but it also has to do with that. So the fact that 2008 happened and nothing ever came of it, and they needed something to blame it on and distract for a while, and also to control populations, they had to do that and then do what Tim's talking about. See what I did there? And didn't.
So it's like
figure it out, folks.
Maybe you're talking about I guess you call it the Bank for International Settlements in Switzerland.
I'm talking
selling
about
the Federal Reserve money.
Talking about something else.
I think I know.
Gives you a fever.
And the Bank of International Settlements is the old system. What they're proposing now with BRICS is going to be to get off of that system. So when Russia invades Ukraine, they threaten to rip them from SWIFT. And so immediately they're like, okay, we need something else because we cannot be beholden to the U.S. I'd be willing to bet. So they immediately started going around, and this is years ago. In fact, we know they were doing this, and pitching to these countries, join us, the resistance. And now, with Ukraine and everything that's going on, and the U.S. is in total chaos, I'd be willing to bet, and again, this is very surface level because I don't have access to classified information. I'd be willing to bet that China's been subverting the U.S. through TikTok and through social media. Our foreign adversaries have been doing the same thing. We have been spinning around rope-a-dope while they've been preparing all of this stuff. And there are elites in the United States who know what's happening and said, you know what, if you can't beat them, join them.
No, that's not only what's happened, but you can actually look at this. If you look at the bill that just came out about unveiling who runs the think tanks, it's not just that they've been rope-a-doping, they have been cashing out on this. Like, every single think tank in Washington, D.C. is owned by a different foreign country. And they're not like our friends. They're not like England. I mean, even though England is our actual biggest enemy, people need to start understanding. It's like really, really bad ones. Like ones that are on, like the State Department in one hand is creating lists of bad countries that are sanctioned. And on the other hand, sending their staff over to work at think tanks that are funded by those countries. So like make that make sense for me. Like that's it's not as innocent even as rope-a-dope. Like I think what Tim's saying actually is completely correct. I just think it's a gazillion times worse than that from what I saw.
What do we do? Just get some chickens, get a gun?
Yeah. You're on the right path.
Solar power.
Watch the fall of the U.S. empire.
Well, we're participating in it.
We also forgot how they're shipping in all the drugs to pacify the general public.
The borders
or kill them
open.
and keep them poor.
And destroying men and testosterone so no one could rebel and fight back.
When all of this is happening, and then our border is completely porous, they don't care. Drugs are pouring in, they don't care. Our economy is completely destroyed, they don't care. I'm just like, okay, they're participating in it.
Yeah.
And when we say they, I have to take some responsibility for this.
Yeah, it's like Biden.
It's not just Biden.
No,
like in a Trump administration, do you know what happened to the immigration bill? It was shelved by the same people that are running AFPI right now, which is why I'm in a big old fight with them and why they're all can't understand why I'm coming after them on Twitter. But the same exact people that are running AFPI are the ones that decided to shelve the immigration bill in favor of having Kim Kardashian's more moments with celebrities like that and release more criminals, because that was at the top of the list of all the Americans. America First was definitely about, let's release more criminals early, not do immigration, do tax policy, and plant 1,000 trees. I don't remember that in any rally. But that's what we did. And I'm saying we because I was in that office. So it's like, that wasn't what I was working on. Like, we were working on the immigration bill. And I can tell you, it would have solved a lot of these issues. Do you know that there's so much, the number of, what are they called? Those things you put on trucks that come in through ships, like the shipping containers. They're that big, right? Not just the little FedEx package, a giant box that big. The number of those that are uninspected coming through our ports is so low that the number itself is classified. I'm not saying anything classified by saying that. The number is classified because if the American people knew, it would freak them out that badly.
I don't think they care. I think we found out that Joe Biden was shipping children, illegal immigrant children, across the country, and it was a story only for people who read the news. And half the country, despite here's what I see. I see this story in front of us. The petrodollar's been at risk for a long time.
Since the 70s.
But it's been getting progressively worse in the past several years. 5, 6, 7 years ago, Russia starts dumping U.S. bonds. China, they've been preparing for this. The people running this country, they literally don't care. Donald Trump starts showing up our border, showing up our defenses, sealing our border, bringing jobs back, getting factories from Mexico back in. Boy, did they lose their minds. And we've talked about this. It may be because of Thucydides' trap, which is this historical concept that whenever the dominant economic power is about to be displaced by a rising economic power, war breaks out at least 12 out of the 16 times in the past 500 years. So perhaps what's happening is they're saying to avoid World War III, we will control demolition in the United States and then rebuild up where it's growing rapidly, say China, the BRICS countries. And thus, we are watching the complete and total collapse of our country. Mm-hmm. And what happens is with expanded universal mail-in voting, the American people who are so blinded, so stupid, so ignorant, and so hate-filled are voting themselves into oblivion. Mm. And you know what? This is what I was saying earlier. I'm very, very much about individualism. So my worst case scenario is it's not my preferred ideal that this country goes belly up, but I'm fine with trying to figure things out for myself and not having to rely on other people. And I'm not saying I will be good at surviving completely in the wilderness. No, but this is one of the reasons we get out to the middle of nowhere. We install solar panels with massive batteries. We get backup generators. We buy copper wire.
You think they're going to let you do that, though?
If the country completely falls apart, there's not going to be a they anymore. It's going to be roving bands of people desperate for food. And then what happens is communities isolate each other. Call it a national divorce, whatever you want. Where we are right now, this is MAGA country. The neighbors out here, they got big signs flying the Trump flags. In a second, if there was a major crisis, there would be a neighborhood watch meeting. People would know exactly what to do and how to do it. People would be fortified. I'm not saying I'm doing anything crazy prepper-like preppers do. Maybe we should, because this is very alarming, the BRICS countries.
I kind of am.
But I mean, 30 years worth of food and look, I'm
3 is enough.
I mean, not if it's the total.
Well, I mean, but if you're still, if 3 years have gone by and you're still living on some bagged food, I think.
Hold on. No. Listen. Here's what you do. When you store emergency food for the apocalypse scenario,
I have a selection.
You never touch it. What you do is you always make sure you're getting your food from natural sources, and only in extreme emergencies do you tap into your reserves.
Yeah.
After 3 years, ain't gonna be no Chef Boyardee anymore.
No.
That's gonna be worth gold. There's going to be some dude, and he's going to be like, you have an unopened Chef Boyardee? That's right. No. I want that case of 9mm. I'll give you anything for it.
He opens it and there's mud in it.
No, the can's just faded and filthy.
Oh, think what you get for a pack of Hubba Bubba.
He cracks it open, takes his finger and just puts it in his mouth, and then instantly in his mind is transported to being a little kid in a beautiful suburb, and his mom hands him the bowl, and he's like, I love you, Mom. She's like, I love you. And then he flashes back to reality. His clothes are ripped. He's covered in dirt, and he's like, I
don't know why that's funny.
Let's make a movie.
I made this movie.
I was talking to Michael Malice earlier. He's got a book coming out, but one of the things he said to me was, people in this country absolutely do not realize what bad is.
That's what I'm trying to say, because he's an expert on North Korea. What I'm trying to say is and many other countries like that. What I'm trying to say is we don't know. We are so not prepared for what it's like to not be a superpower. I think what I'm saying is getting to the point where you're at, where it's like, okay, fine, maybe there isn't a they. Maybe it is roving gangs, and maybe all that, and everybody else is trained to be an influencer.
Everyone in Poland in my family jars their food, has a little plot of land where they grow their own food.
Yeah, the Mormons will be fine.
We do that because the communists starved my family. Mm-hmm. So people don't understand how bad it could get. It could get really bad really quick, and it's only about us.
That's why I'm going to become Amish.
We're going to go to Super Chats.
Okay.
What you want to say?
Yeah, last thing is, one thing that could happen, because we're not an empire. I mean, it might look kind of empirical. There's the British Empire. We are an American republic. And when the Roman Republic fell, it became an empire. So if some strong man steps in and says, turns this country into a junta and runs it through the military, goes around, kills whoever disagrees.
Caesar?
Yeah, if something like a Caesar were to appear with a military force and people, and then we're like second fiddle to the Chinese superstructure, and we're just kind of like a vassal state.
No. First, we get to be the American Empire, though.
I don't know if there's a we involved in that.
200 years.
First, we need the American Caesar, and that's why when we get the Red Caesar, we're going to have a handful of 100 years of good times, and that's going to be awesome, and then everything can fall apart. But first, I insist on a Red Caesar.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.